contains ferric orthophosphate, thiamine mononitrate, monosodium glutamate, calcium carbonate, sodium ascorbate, gamma acacia, potassium iodide, sodium caseinate, polysorbate 60, sorbitan monostearate, pyridoxine hydrochloride, copper carbonate, alpha tocopherol acid, calcium pantophenate, manganese sulfate, copper gluconate, vegetable gum, hydrogenated oil, water, sugar, salt, artificial color and flavor.
All our food comes from light. No matter what form it takes, it comes from light.
Heaped up upon the floor to form a kind of throne, were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, brawn, great joints of meat, sucking pigs, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, luscious pears, immense twelfth cakes, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In easy state upon this couch, there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see. I am the ghost of Christmas present, said the spirit. Look upon me.
Our Christmas present from the sun is food, but only the plants know how to unwrap the gift. That knowledge is called photosynthesis. If we could do this, we could bask in the sun and eat dirt and survive and prosper. Since we can't, we have to eat the plants that can, and eat the animals that eat the plants that can, and eat the animals that eat the animals that eat the plants that can. This is the way we grow. As parasites, we need 20 amino acids in order to live. These are the brand names of life. This is what food is. 20 protein amino acids. Without all 20, you're dead, and you have only half. The rest you've got to get from plants or from the bodies of grazing or predatory animals. The food that fills you up and the food that keeps you alive is not always the same. You can stuff yourself with rice or cookies, bread or candy, and still starve. It's called malnutrition. 1.5 billion people suffer from it. In its extreme form, it's a disease from which you never recover. This is another name for the famine of our time, chronic protein deficiency. But this kind of slow starvation is not always visible. Malnutrition is not entirely the privilege of the poor. Many of us try to survive on a diet of junk food which has little, if any, nutrition. We skip meals, go on crash diets, pop multivitamins to fill in the gaps. And we get headaches, we get colds, we get tired. You can cure hunger with food, any food. But to cure malnutrition, you need intelligence. You need to think about what you eat. But we survive on sandwiches, so the bread makers have fortified their product with vitamins and minerals. And while they're at it, they add other things to extend shelf life, give it some kind of flavor. The result is a table of contents that reads like a chemistry course. Instead of adding chemicals, there's a way to breed in better nutrition. It's called the Green Revolution. New strains of wheat, rice, and corn have been developed to yield more high-protein food per acre. These cereals are the world's basic food. In America, each of us eats a ton of grain a year, 150 pounds directly, the rest in the form of meat, eggs, and milk. A citizen of the third world can't afford this luxury. He eats a fifth of what we do, about a pound of grain a day, almost all of it directly. While the Green Revolution promises to keep him alive, it tends also to reduce the variety of food available. By concentrating on a few foods, it tries to buy time for humanity, time for the world to stabilize its growth rate. Along with growing more of any one crop, we might begin to look at a variety of potential foods we've never eaten. Leaves, for instance. Instead of burning them, we could eat them, along with grass, weeds, and clippings. These are the input of impulse rendering. To make this stuff edible, it can be subjected to shock waves that break it down into pure protein. Instead of eating the cow, we eat what the cow eats. By eliminating the middleman, the cow, sheep, or pig, we gain 10 times the nutritional value of the grass. So we need less. One person's daily requirement of IR protein, 2 cents. How about a meal of sawdust, corn cobs, and old newspapers? They can be used as the raw material for a high-protein food yeast. A nutritious drink of low-grade petroleum oil? 1,500 barrels could produce as much protein as a couple of 100,000 acres of wheat. Protein instead of pollution? It's possible, but at present it's all on paper, waiting to be turned into reality. Waiting behind a lineup of cars. You might scoop lunch off a stagnant pond. Algae could yield hundreds of times more quality protein than beef cattle, providing you don't mind a green hamburger, providing there are any ponds left on Earth. Food needs land, and we're busy developing the land by scraping the life off it, leaving the footprints of the new dinosaur. At land's end, we'll have to turn to the sea for our food. The sea is the greatest converter of solar energy on Earth. At present, we draw 1% of our food from it. The top 200 feet of ocean is a meadow, a grazing land of tiny green plants called plankton. The network of microlife called plankton has been estimated at an annual yield of 400 to 700 billion tons. There's a food chain in the sea. The grazing fish eat the plankton. The little fish eat the grazing fish. The big fish eat the little fish. And we eat the big fish. A few of them. Of 20,000 species in the sea, we eat about 20. The rest is cat food. The rest are called trash fish. But the cat's getting more out of the sea than we are. At each link in the food chain, there's a conversion loss. 90%. It goes this way. Out of 10,000 pounds of plankton protein, we get 1 pound at the end of the chain. Your tuna salad sandwich contains 1/100th of the sea's original gift. One way to get more protein out of the sea is to eat those trash fish. They can be processed into fish protein concentrates. Fish flour is rich in protein, vitamins, and minerals. We feed it to pigs and poultry. If we can find a way to improve its taste and smell, we may eat it ourselves. We may have to start fish ranching in the sea, raising herds of grazing whales, providing we can find enough survivors to form a herd, providing the meadow of the sea does not become the sewer of the sea. Where man walks the land, he leaves his footprint. Most of his tracks in the sea lie buried out of sight. No one knows now what effect they may have on the chain of life in the sea. For this fragile chain is the future. You can do without anything except air, water, and food. There's a miracle going on. Pay attention.